Cek.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be upon you. Good afternoon, everyone. And good afternoon, Professor Mary N.A. Espina.
Welcome to the second International Architecture Week 2022. My name is Joan Patricia.
And my name is Fadil Al-Karim. It's an honor for us to be your master ceremony this day. This webinar is hosted by the Department of Architecture, Universitas Bandar Lampung.
Welcome to the second International Architecture Week 2022. My name is Joan Patricia.
And my name is Fadil Al-Karim. It's an honor for us to be your master ceremony this day. This webinar is hosted by the Department of Architecture, Universitas Bandar Lampung.
Department of Architecture Universitas Bandar Lampung, in cooperation with Associate of Indonesian Architect, is delighted to welcome you to second International Architecture Week 2022, with special topic ending the environ-demic, design and planning strategies to reduce environmental disasters.
As a start of our opening ceremony, we will sing the national anthem of the Republic of Indonesia, Indonesia Raya.
For all the participants, please stand up. For all the participants, may back to your seat. Thank you.
To all participants of the second UBL International Architecture Week 2022, please kindly follow the rules below during the event. Participants must use the real identity.
Participants who get access into the Zoom meeting should dress appropriately and behave well.
Participants are expected to turn off or mute the microphone during the webinar.
Every participant who joined the webinar through Zoom or YouTube can ask the question by typing this format. Type "ask," then continue to write your name, institution, and the question briefly. The moderator will deliver some question to the speaker due to limitation of the discussion time.
If possible, there will be another Q&A session directly to the speaker. Please use the raise hand feature and the one who are selected will be invited by the moderator.
Certificate will be given for all the participants who joined the event from the beginning until the end of the webinar.
The link of the attendance will be shared during the event. To all participants, I would like to tell you don't forget to sign your attendance from the link on the chat box. Now we move to the speech segment that is going to be started by our head of organizing committee. For our head of organizing committee, Dr. of Engineering Dadang Hartabela, please, the time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Your Excellency, Vice Rector, Dr. Insinyur Heri Rianto, Your Excellency, the Head of Department Architecture, Dr. Engineering Haris Murwadi, and also Your Excellency for Prof. Mary Ann Espina. She already joined us by Zoom meeting. And also, thank you very much for your coming, for the audience. So today, we will start the International Architecture Week 2.0. So this is the second. We start this from last year, initiated by Dr. Engineering Fritz Nuzir. And then this year we continue it by making the same webinar series and many interesting side event starting from 12th of December until 17th of December. So first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Dadang Hartabela. Here I'm as a chairman of the organizing committee of this event. So I will also introduce the event. So this event will be started from today and then will continue from Wednesday, which is also this is the start of the architecture exhibition, which is held by the Student Association of Architecture or HMTA. They will show us the design. What are they design during their study time, and then also we can see also many miniature, poster, and etc. In also in Wednesday, some students from the senior high school will come to visit us and to join the BIM or BIM, Building Information Modeling, from the architect Nabob. He is from the Architect Association of Indonesia. He will teach us about the BIM, yeah. And then we will also have a side event from architect Jamaluddin. He will talk about the association, the practice, and then in the end of the event in 17, we will have a webinar series. But the location may be not here in the campus A in Aula F. There will be speakers from Australia, Japan, and DAI or Dewan Architect Indonesia from ITB. So please enjoy this event. I hope everyone can get many benefits from here, and don't forget to ask something if you want to know more about the what we discussed today. So please don't turn off your mode or please speak up. Okay, speak up. Okay, discuss what you want to know more. Okay, thank you very much from me, and I'm sorry if I have some mistakes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Doctor of Engineering Dadang Hartabela, for the speech.
Next, we would like to invite the first Vice Rector of Universitas Bandar Lampung to deliver the welcoming speech. Please be invited, Dr. Insinyur Heri-Rianto, MT.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. For this time, I apologize, cannot speak by English. I'll speak in bahasa. Mohon maaf. Selamat siang semuanya, para peserta IAW. Baik, ada yang di Zoom juga ya? Yang di Zoom. Saya kira pertama-tama kita harus memanjatkan puji syukur kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa taala bahwa kita masih diberikan kesehatan, rahmat dan hidayahnya bisa berkumpul di auditorium dalam rangka mengikuti International Architecture Week yang kedua. Ya, yang kami hormati program studi arsitektur UBL Bapak Dr. Haris, yang saya hormati Ketua Panitia Untuk acara ini, Dr. Dadang Hartabela, dokter masih baru. Dan di sini saya lihat yang terlibat pada acara ini adalah IAI. Ketuanya ada yang hadir, Pak Fris? Belum ada. Pak Fris yang mewakili ya. Juga disupport oleh ada UBL Production. Dan tentunya salam dari Pak Rektor yang harusnya beliau hadir pada kesempatan ini. Berhubung ada hal yang tidak bisa ditinggalkan, yaitu harus monitoring pembagian medali dari KONI, karena beliau adalah Ketua KONI Lampung. Jadi mewakilkan saya untuk hadir di sini untuk membuka acara IAW yang kedua, ya. Dan saya kira ini kita harus apresiasi bahwa kegiatan ini sangat banyak manfaatnya. Baik bagi mahasiswa UBL sebagai peserta di sini, juga saya dengar juga dari luar juga ada ya Pak Haris ya. Dari berbagai perguruan tinggi yang tergabung pada acara ini. Walaupun saya lihat di sini masih kurang pesertanya, mudah-mudahan di hari-hari selanjutnya makin antusias. Tadi kata Pak Dadang harus open your mouth, speak up, ya, bicara. Satu-satunya jalan untuk kita berinteraksi adalah harus bicara, harus berkomunikasi, ya. Transfer ilmu itu juga dari komunikasi, jadi gunakanlah sekarang ini kesempatan sebaik-baiknya bagi Anda untuk lebih menambah wawasan Anda, ya, menambah wawasan Anda, karena pembicaranya saya lihat nggak tanggung-tanggung, ya, dari luar, ya. Cuman nggak ada fotonya Jamal. Tadi Jamal sebutin ada juga ya. Tapi fotonya nggak ada Jamal di sini. Ini khususnya luar negeri dan dari ITB, ada dari Dewan Arsitektur ya Indonesia. Saya kira itu saja, manfaatkan pada para peserta acara ini. Saya kira kalau reputasi arsitektur UBL ini tidak diragukan, karena kemarin yang paling segar aja juara apa ya? Juara desain gerbang ya, Kota Bogor. Nah, beri aplaus dulu nih buat arsitektur. Bisa menjuara itu, dan ke depan saya kira peluang-peluang itu ada untuk prodi arsitektur, mahasiswanya, dosen-dosennya bisa berkiprah lagi selain di dunia nasional juga di internasional, ya. Saya kira itu saja. Selamat berseminar ya, berseminar selama 12 sampai 17, lama juga ya. 5 hari atau 6 hari, satu minggu nih ya, sampai Sabtu. Mudah-mudahan acaranya lancar, dan tentunya bagi para peserta, bagi para yang presenternya nih dari Prof. Mary, kalau sudah bergabung mungkin, kemudian juga ada dari Shenlin dari China, kemudian dari Australia, Christina Sunario, orang-orang Jawa nih, Donatus Gunito, kemudian Yusuke Akimoto di Jepang juga, yang dari ITB juga hadir. Cukup berkualifikasi mereka yang di acara National Architecture Week ini. Sekian saja, dengan mengucap Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, acara The Sec UBL International Architecture Week IAW Webinar Series and many interesting side event 12 sampai 17 Desember 2022 dengan ini silakan dimulai. Terima kasih. Mohon maaf jika ada yang kurang berkenan. Saya akhiri dengan wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Insinyur Heri Rianto, MT, for the welcoming speech.
In this moment, we are pleased to announce our first speaker, Professor Mary Ann Espina from Philippines, and our second speaker, Sean Lin from China. And for the next discussion, will be continued by Kustiani STMT as our moderator.
For our moderator, Kustiani STMT, time is yours.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. May I share my screen now? Am I allowed to start?
Check. Okay, we will start our seminar today. Ladies and gentlemen, our seminar is about to begin. Thank you very much for preparing yourself to join our seminar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A good afternoon, everyone. Okay, before we begin with our keynote speakers, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Kustiani, the moderator of today's seminar. I am very pleased to see you here and welcome all of you to this seminar. All right, before we start the presentation, let me inform you again about the rules of presentation. All the speakers will talk around 30 minutes, and then we'll have a discussion about 20 minutes each speaker. And then if you have question, you can ask your question during the discussion by raise your hand, or you can type your question on our chat box, and I'm going to read them for you. And you can also write your question on Indonesian language, and then we will translate it. Okay, today we're gonna have two speakers who have already with us. First, Professor Mary Ann Espina from Perez Espina and Associate Philippines. And second will be Mr. Sean Lin from Hassel, China. Okay, I'd like to greet Professor Mary Ann first. Hello. Good afternoon, Professor. Are you here?
I'm here. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much. Okay, next, without further ado, I'm going to invite our first speaker today, Professor Mary Ann Espina. Before presentation, let me read your profile first. Okay, Professor Mary Ann Aranas Espina is an architect and landscape architect by profession, a principal of the family firm Espina, Perez Espina and Associates Manila, and a principal of the Center of Design Environment Professions. And she is also an associate professor and formerly the dean at the University of the Philippine College of Architecture, teaching undergraduate and graduate course in architecture and landscape architecture. And also she was the project team leader of the DOS PC ERD, Build Back Better project from 2016 to 2017, which produced the design guidelines for resilient architecture in the Philippines, as applied on 3 building prototypes, including the self-built house model and the upgraded Gabaldon School building and the Takbuhan Evacuation Center. And the topic that she will be presenting are architectural response to disaster preparedness. Okay, Professor Mary Ann, you have around 30 minutes to present your presentation. Okay, are you ready, Professor?
I'm ready. I'll
Okay.
share the screen now.
Okay, time and screen are yours.
Thank
Please.
you. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Today, I'm presenting Takbuhan, the design of a resilient evacuation center, which is one of the 3 projects we made under the Department of Science and Technology, DOST. Let me start with this slide. Hold on a minute. Okay. Let me start with this slide that shows Super Typhoon Rai or Odette. wreaking havoc on Visayas and Mindanao in the Philippines on December 16, 2021. I and my family happened to be there in Cebu during that frightful night, and the experience still sends shivers down my spine.
I'm sorry, Professor Mary Ann. Could you widen your screen? Because the screen is too small.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
It's not
Sorry.
slide showing.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay.
This is difficult for me because my notes are on the other side. Can you give me a little time? Anyway, the aftermath of the typhoon can be seen in these photos I took at our outside our house. And for a long time, we could only see what's happening around us, immediately around us. But later on, we ventured outside and saw these down power lines that resulted in long lines for water because no power, no water. And there were long lines at the gasoline station because the pumps were operated manually. Long lines at the ATM because a lot of banks had no generator sets. And long lines at the groceries because the freezers were not working. Worst of all, we had no internet. In fact, the misery of no power lasted for about a month in Cebu. These are some of the other images that were collected after the Typhoon Odette. The before picture shows an iconic structure of a popular mall in Cebu. And after Typhoon Odette, it was not iconic anymore as we had known it. If we go back a little bit to January of 2020, there was a big volcanic eruption that happened in Taal. And the photographs here will show the immensity of that tragedy. Let me just mention that in this presentation, I will be showing the kind of disasters that occur in the Philippines: typhoons, volcanic eruption, earthquakes. I don't think Indonesia suffers from typhoons, but the lessons are there to be learned anyway. So please allow me to take that up too with you. So as soon as the eruption happened, the evacuation sites were immediately named or announced by radio and newspaper. And you'll see here that they were very quick to name the covered courts and some churches and especially schools as the places to run to for evacuation. So in this presentation, I nearly want to change the topic of my report to how to stop a disaster. But I don't mean stopping a typhoon or stopping an earthquake or stopping a volcano from eruption. I mean stopping the use of structures that are inadequately designed, unresilient, unprotective, and culturally insensitive as evacuation centers. It's a big message I'm sending to our government. But let's see first why or what makes these evacuation centers as places of refuge. Usually, covered courts are a favorite refuge because of the roof and the wide open floor spaces that they offer. The sports stadium seem to offer more because they are bigger, have more floor space, have full enclosures, unlike the covered court. So the enclosures protect them from the elements. However, I must show you an example of how a stadium can be unprotective because of location. So here you're looking at the picture of Tacloban City Convention Center, which was hit by Typhoon Haiyan in 2013. So here it is after the typhoon. Actually, the disaster wasn't caused by the destruction brought by the winds, but rather destruction brought by the storm surge. So people flocked to the stadium because it was a familiar thing and looked very protective. But what they didn't know was that the water actually came rushing inside. So if you look at the location of this convention center in the map, it is where the highest watermarks from Typhoon Haiyan occurred. That is 7 meters. That's more than 2 stories. That's why people perished in that flood. Here is a photo of Siargao Sports Complex Gym just before or during its opening and inauguration. This is in 2021. And Siargao was hit by Typhoon Rai. And the photo on the right side is a screenshot of the video that was recorded during that disaster. So, but fortunately for the people who found themselves inside that place, they learned the lesson of Tacloban, and they were able to prepare themselves. So there was no flood inside, but the roof was blown off that exposed them to danger. So there was a testimonial that was posted in the internet that described how the people inside it prepared themselves. So I think we can learn a lesson from the manner by which they gathered their force and protected themselves. Now, the number 3 favorite evacuation center is the school, and in particular, the public school. So local newspaper listed immediately the schools or named the schools that people can run to. However, using these structures, the 3 structures that I have mentioned as evacuation centers have produced more problems than solutions. For example, and in particular, the public school, there is always the unnecessary physical damage to the classroom furniture and teaching accessories that are caused by people who use the space in this manner shown in the photo. Also, schools have very poor sleeping and sanitation conditions for refugees. There are no beds. The school chairs are being used like beds. There are no adequate toilets, and sometimes there's no adequate water. Schools also have no ability to receive, store, and disperse relief goods and services to reach the refugee population. This photo will show how relief delivery happens in a place that is very far from the evacuation place. And people have to run, and people have to go through the difficult terrain just to secure their relief goods. Now, this is a very important note that I picked up from various forums that involved psychologists. They say that the use of schools, the occupancy of refugees in school buildings is a mistake, because this deprives the victim families the ability to safely deposit their children in those schools while they go about recovering their homes. So schools, after a disaster, after a calamity, should remain as schools so that students can stay there while their parents go around taking care of recovery of their own homes. However, this is completely negated when the school is the evacuation center. Now, oftentimes, not all refugees are able-bodied or have control over their situation. For example, these photos show these kinds of refugees. And do you think they are, I mean, the covered court or the stadium or the school will be able to accommodate them? Now, there are other disasters that occur during emergency periods. Loss of dignity of life and loss of dignity of death. Again, these are issues brought up by many psychologists who talk about the aftermath of a tragedy. When we talk about loss of dignity of life, we talk about the occurrence when women and children are rendered vulnerable to abuse due to lack of privacy in evacuation centers. These issues are hardly mentioned in the news, but they are talked about in a lot of conventions and conferences. So human trafficking syndicates are at work, or regular thieves or abusers prey on the poor occupants of evacuation centers. But are we addressing that? Then there is the loss of dignity of death, when the deceased victims are deprived of the proper treatment and reverence for burial, and the families are deprived of their right to proper mourning. What actions have our government taken? Let me just share them with you. There had been construction of permanent evacuation centers in local barangays. Barangays are the small districts, small units of government in the Philippines. So you see that they took efforts at building structures like this. However, when these structures are designed only for one use as evacuation center, they usually have no alternative or productive use during the rest of the year, okay? And what happens is that an empty building becomes attractive to vagrants, to people, to homeless people who find comfort in the building. So that when one building is occupied by one vagrant, then more will come until the whole building is occupied. So when disaster strikes, then sometimes that evacuation center becomes useless. In our Senate, there is a bill that proposes the construction or the provision of multipurpose gyms in all municipalities and cities, an act that was taken up by our senator. However, as of this moment, it is still pending in the committee. So it's a nice idea, but there has been no improvement. Another senator also announced that each LGU, local government unit, should have an evacuation center. And again, no action, just an announcement. Here is an announcement by the chief of our National Disaster Risk and Disaster Risk Reduction Management Center. On the day before the Odette event, he asked the LGUs to be prepared. However, I could not find any photos available of the actual usage of these facilities by the Odette victims. Only the Taal eruption victims have been recorded to have used this. On the side of the private sector, there had been many design competitions dedicated to the design of evacuation centers such as this. But as you can see, they are still looking at schools as a place for evacuation. Another action taken by the government is the Build Back Better program of the a collaboration between the University of the Philippines, which I belonged to in the past, and the Department of Science and Technology. And this program happened in the years 2015 to 2016. This program produced for the DOST 3 building prototypes. Kapit Bahay, which means neighbors or a house, which we designed to be a do-it-yourself, housing model. Gabaldon is an old school model before the World War in the Philippines. And we propose to renew it and use it again. But for this presentation, I'm going to talk about Takbuhan, the Resilient Evacuation Center model. Note that when we undertook this program, it was a post-disaster response. But at this time, it has become a pre-disaster response. So we have time to adopt and apply the findings of the program. So here is my presentation about Takbuhan. In the term Takbuhan to the Filipinos means a place where you can run or a place that you can run to. This is the root word in Filipino language, takbo meaning run, or takbuhan meaning a place to run to. And I'm guessing that this is the equivalent in Indonesia. I hope I'm right. So, but in the end, as a venue, we designed it to function as a community sports center. So how does Takbuhan respond to the true requirements of the evacuation center? In the design steps that we took, we first addressed the large sleeping area required. And in doing so, we formulated the privacy unit. So the design of the Takbuhan was inspired by the Japanese architect Shigeru Ban in his design of partitions using paper tubes and mesh after the Fukushima earthquake in March 2011. The Build Back Better project tested a 3-meter by 3-meter unit for achieving comfort of a typical 5-member Filipino family. These are my staff testing the 3-meter by 3-meter unit. But instead of paper tubes, we propose the use of 150 mm diameter PVC pipes. So the privacy unit is the 3 meter by 3 meter unit shown here. And we put together 10 of them to create one module. So the one module will measure 15 meters by 6 meters. So I'll go through this faster. Now, as a second step, we needed to comply with the basic spaces provided in the Department of Education memorandum. So I've listed them down here. This is how it looked in the DepEd. And this is how we responded. So you on the right side, you're looking at the floor plan of our takbuhan. And these are the spaces according to the Department of Education requirements. So we have the privacy units, about 81 of them. And then toilet and shower areas. Now the child-friendly spaces, that's a very important requirement. Information board, storage area, health facility, actually a clinic, community kitchen, laundry areas, couple room for the upholding of dignity of life. Provision for livestock, because a lot of the refugees want to carry or want to take in their livestock. And of course, water storage and supplies. And on the second floor, there is a requirement for an office, an administrative office. So we have provided all of them in our design. Now, as I mentioned, dignity of life can be upheld in the provision of the correct type of toilets and bath with gender separation, the provision of child-friendly spaces, the clinic for health security, the couple room is part of that too. The third step we took is to create the standard for the site. So first, it's important to locate the project or the building in places that are not disaster prone. Okay, because I'll show you in an example later, the Siargao Gym, and of course the Tacloban Convention Center, how their location created a problem and defeated the purpose of it as an evacuation center. Also, it is important that the site is easily accessible by foot by those affected communities. And we specified 60 minutes walking distance from where they are. Okay, so these are the provisions. We need the site to be to have at least 2 roads. We need the building to have that kind of access. We need an open space, a large open space, even larger than the footprint of the building. And you'll see why we will need that. And it is a response to the dignity of death, because at times of when the need arises for a decent burial, the edges of that open space can become burial grounds. Next, we needed to find a form to attain the resilience of structure against typhoons, earthquakes, ashfall. And the rectangle form responds the best to seismic and wind loads. And the rectangle becomes the basic refuge space. So again, I'll move fast in this next slide. So you'll kindly just take note of the captions. Okay, here, the parabolic roof is chosen for its aerodynamic quality. However, there is a need to apply it according to the correct orientation. And the correct orientation to make the aerodynamism work is to keep it perpendicular to the flow or to the direction of the wind. Now, here is a quick analysis of the Siargao experience. The direction of the typhoon is usually from east to going to the west. In the case of Siargao Sports Complex, where you see the, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but the gym is the building on top, okay, above the track, the oval track. Now, so if you apply the direction of the wind, it would be in this manner. Now, the site happens to be in a valley. So the valley created the kind of situation that was favorable for the wind, okay? So this is how the wind moved in that valley. And if we talk about the Venturi effect, the Venturi effect is simply the drop. So the wind pressure drops when it passes through a confined section. In wind flow analysis, the Venturi effect can help explain the wind flow behavior and high gusts through the walkways between high-rise buildings, and also through valleys like here, like Siargao. So in this quick analysis, we can conclude that the destruction of the Siargao gym, even though it had a parabolic roof, was caused by the manner by which the structure is angled against the flow. So one end was destroyed, okay? It wasn't very aerodynamic, in short. Now, by the way, this conclusion is not very scientific because we really did not go intensely into this case study, but I'm hoping through this presentation that somebody will take up the job of further research and to see whether my observations are correct. So if we go now inside the Takbuhan Sports Center, this is how it looks when it's used as a community sports center and as an evacuation center. This is the Siargao before, and sorry. Okay. So going back to the requirement of the large open space beside the building, that open space can function as a football field. It can also be a surge area or an open evacuation field during earthquakes. By the way, a surge area is a temporary hospital facility. Therefore, we designed such open space to have the facilities for electricity and water in case it becomes a surge area. It's also a good site for helipad for airlifting victims. Now, how to make the Takbuhan a reality is a message I'm giving to my government. But for this purpose, I'll just show you how we tried to market it to the government. We gave them, actually this is a cost 2021. maybe it's twice as much already, or maybe 1.5 times as much now. Okay. So we're trying to entice the government to build it because it can have many other functions aside from being an evacuation center. And at this point, I'm going to end my presentation, and I hope that the lessons learned from all the disasters that I have mentioned here can be used by everybody. Certainly in the Philippines, we are very conscious now, and I hope that Indonesia will find benefit in this presentation. Thank you, and as we say in the Philippines, mabuhay.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for Professor Mary Ann for giving us such informative, interesting presentation. Okay, I ask for permission for the participant. I will read in Indonesian language. Jadi disimpulkan bahwa presentasi ini menjelaskan ya bagaimana cara kita menstop bencana ya, di mana bencana ini banyak sekali ya yang terjadi dan bagaimana kita menyediakan sarana evakuasi bagi berbagai kalangan yang terdampak bencana ya. Jadi berbagai masalah yang terjadi di evacuation center ini dengan skala keterbatasan peralatan dan tentunya menimbulkan masalah baru ya terhadap kehidupan masyarakat yang terdampak ya, seperti kehilangannya berbagai macam kehidupan ya, istilahnya seperti itu. Nah, kemudian juga ada bantuan ya dari pemerintah ya, bagaimana cara menanggulangi bencana, di mana tentunya bencana ini juga tentu memerlukan support dari pemerintah sendiri ya. Nah, Profesor Mary Ann sendiri menjelaskan bahwa salah satunya adalah membuat program penanggulangan bencana ya untuk evacuation center ya yang bernama Takbuhan ini, dan memperlihatkan berbagai macam model evacuation center ya, dimulai dari kebutuhan ruangnya seperti apa dan juga beragam informasi yang harus kita terapkan di evacuation model design seperti itu. Oke, Professor Mary Ann, if you don't mind, can we continue to listening our second speaker presentation? And then after that, we are going to discussion session. Is it okay? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, participants, give applause again to Professor Mr. An. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next session is presentation for our second speaker, Mr. Sean Lin. Hello, Mr. Sean Lin.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Okay, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good, good. Hope everyone's good there.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to invite our second speaker today, Mr. Shine Lin. Okay, firstly, Mr. Shine Lin, I will read your profile.
Sure,
Okay,
thanks.
Mr. Shine Lin is an architect and professional of Hazell, China. He practiced in nature and urban context. Mr. Shine Lin has contributed to award-winning projects throughout Europe, the Middle East, Taiwan, and mainland China over his 2 decades in design. His approach could be summed up as a combination of ancient wisdom for East and creativity and aesthetic from the West. From his base in Shanghai, Mr. Sean Lin has played a key role in our urban and landscape design work in China, including the Hangzhou Grand Canal and Central Green Forest Park in Beijing and Park Avenue Central in Shanghai. And the topic to be presented are landscape design and planning. Now, allow me to welcome the speaker, Mr. Sean Lin, to deliver his presentation. Okay, Mr. Sean Lin, are you ready?
Hi, sure. Can you
Okay, Mr.
see my
Sean
screen?
Lin.
I'm sharing the screen.
Okay, thank you. Time and screen are yours, please.
Okay, thank you. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sean Lin. I got today is really a pleasure like have this chance and talk to everyone here. And my topic today will be some researching from our Hustle studio and also some really interesting projects we have really carry on realizing in China, in Australia. So I think this is really a good opportunity to share with you some thoughts. And I'm showing, I got 20 years professional experience in landscape architecture. And actually, I'm also now as a guest lecturer in Shanghai Jiao Tong University and also guest lecturing in MIT in Australia. So basically, I have been working in Hustle about 13 years. And during this long journey, I mean, Hustle is quite a special place and really carry on different type of project, especially environmental related projects like landscape, architecture, and also interior as well. So actually, Hustle is an international and multidisciplinary design practice, and it's already 84 years history, and it's old, but not really old because of the gene of our like continuous evolution to keep us like fresh. And so if you, this is our website. If you look at the website, you can see it's quite interactive. It's quite flashing, and also we have been located in different really interesting locations in the world, including London, San Francisco, and Shanghai. I'm located, and also Hong Kong, Singapore, and then several key cities in Australia. So the quick introduction here, you can see the studio and in renovation buildings or in the renovation buildings. So that's also what we committed to. And if you can see the Shanghai studio, actually we are plenty of designers, including landscape, architecture, urban design, and interior designers. So actually we are not just trying, no matter which location, actually, we always try to not to just following the flow, but try to lead the trend and inside the world. So, and we are committed to make a positive impact on communities and our environment. So we think all the creative design should be well supported by intelligent insight. So we combine creative design with capabilities in strategy, research, technology, and experience design. So to provide artistic but logical design solutions. So actually our purpose is to design the best places people love. So this is how we judge if our project is successful or not. So I think this is not only for human, it's also for the environment, for the real place. So what are the best places, how we could really design the best places? So actually there are consistent changing answer. But firstly, look at the place got most population, which is the city. City will be home to like 2/3 of the world's population by 2050. And we need to create more resilient, inclusive, engaging places where we are focused on the single site or neighborhood or an entire city. So how to really create more resilient, inclusive, engaging places? This is all the key issues or we are facing currently. So actually Hustle recently has done an insight-based research about 6 qualities of great urban places. And this is trying to decode the components of places that deliver for people, city, and the world. So these 6 qualities, including beautifully original, playful, dynamic, and naturally regenerative, which is about the sustainable future, and also openly networked, conveniently compact, are more about efficiency and transportation, and also richly diverse. This is also what we are really concerned about, the environment. So I will shortly introduce those qualities. Beautifully original places celebrate the local landscape, character, and culture, creating outcomes that they are as attractive to their daily users as they are competitive on the world stage. So people are always looking for meaningful and authentic experience. Places that bring together a delightful mix of people, purpose, and even heritage. So in completely unique and constantly surprising way. And conveniently compact. Compact places bring individuals, destinations, and service closer together. So enabling more convenient lifestyle patterns that help people and the world to save valuable energy, resource, and also time. So compactness is about living closer together so we can preserve valuable open space and benefit from greater level of social interaction. Richly diverse places welcome a wider variety of activities and users. So it's enriching the environment and creating more productive, collaborative, and also resilient human and natural ecosystems. And diversity is the key to designing equitable city, which capable of meeting the needs of all current and future communities. So a place is only as great as it is welcoming and inclusive. And networked places support the free and open movement of people and resources throughout the day and years. So facilitating the sharing of the asset required to sustain life and livelihood. And public transportation is inherent about connecting people to each other and to amenities. So a station is never just a transit hub, but also a focal point for community interaction, like a lot of metro stations here in China or in Australia, or even in Indonesia. And playfully dynamic. Dynamic places can easily be modified in response to changing ecological, economy, and social circumstances. So creating playful and agile environments that are always fit for purpose. And places that are playful and dynamic are capable of creating different experience in the environment, which help enliven a place. And naturally generative is the key to build us a sustainable future, which is generative places grow better, stronger, and healthier over time, supporting people and nature to live well in the short term while safeguarding the well-being of future generations. So landscape has to be allowed to age. Sometimes we have to step back as landscape designer and let natural take its place. So the 6 qualities come together to create a foundation for designing great urban places. So we are now still continuing to develop the framework in collaboration with our partners and by learning from our projects and communities we engage. So the lesson learned from some successful projects we are having now, like South Riverbank in Brisbane, and also what just mentioned, the Life Heritage, which we won the competition in 2020s, and now under construction, which is the Grand Canal waterfront and public front in Hangzhou, China. And also some upgrading of the waterfront with community in Coma Creek, this is South San Francisco. And also for Longgang River Blueway, the upgrade of the waterfront, we're trying to not only upgrade the waterfront, but also bring people back to the riverside, which uplift the ecosystem and also a safe and make the place as safe as home. And also in Australia, the Stadium Park in Perth, like local art, we also work with a series of local artists to create really authentic landscape. And also this is the most popular waterfront in Shanghai in Huangpu River Art Zone. And even the planting, I would try to have mimic the oil painting for planting design. So actually, so if you ask to see our work reflects our belief that great design feels anticipate, but yet obvious. And it's always an artistic answer with a logistic solution for those particular sites. So today I would like to share with you especially 3 international award-winning projects throughout this insight. So you can see more like Sydney Darling Harbour is more from city centers, consider the environment, how to work with the building and also this community, or also the as a key destination for the city. And coming to 24 season Beijing Tongzhou Green Heart, and which also winning this year the IFLA Award, and also Australia AILA, Australian Landscape Association Award, and also Xichong in Shenzhen. So the first Sydney Darling Harbour, and these projects, we are not only working on the public lawn, but also the building next to it. So these are convention centers. So it's also winning the 2019 Singapore IFLA Awards of Excellence. And our challenges was to reinvent one of Australia's most visited public spaces in Sydney. So it's a significant urban renewal project for the city, and to become a must-see destination in Sydney. It completed with the convention center, theater, and a series of event spaces. So basically, it's urban access, and also creating the connections between the landscape and also the convention center next to it. So bring people from the city center to all the way to the Darling Harbour. But we create serious places for people to enjoy and also for their daily life. So it's we have done that public spaces and also serious public buildings along this area. So actually, this is located in a very important part of the center, and to really connect Central Station to the Darling Harbour. And it's about 20 hectares, and including the theaters, exhibition center, convention center, serious building, which also designed by Hassel. So we're trying to really bring this urban renewal opportunity together, and then really bring that kind of possibility to link the place to city. So simplify that is including a really important urban boulevard, and also 3 key squares along this journey, and really develop the influence from the space itself to all the harbor area. And another important to connect to the community is to try to permeate a lot of access from the center to different areas. So in the end, a serious public realm and create a really different lifestyle, and also really create a destination for daily life, and also for the tourism who visit Sydney. So all is tied together with the area of parks, water features, plazas, and passes for workers and cyclists. So it's not only like one axis, it's like an interactive spaces, like link people to the environment, and also bring people into the building. So you can see that it created a lot of shady access, more comfortable areas, and also from the building and the convention center to the public area. Also, we try to activate the age, like bring people from inside to outside, and also they can have a better connection by looking and also by using the spaces. So you can see these water features also create kind of a microclimate comfortable to help people to really stay and spend the time, and also create a better environment for the city. So actually, it's activities are kind of use recycle wood and really create some really open spaces on the lawn. So this actually is a really open even lawn for the whole city. So there are some places in between the building and the landscape and outside in the park. So also created a lot of high level changes, and also create some dating corners for people to enjoy. And importantly to mention is about actually in this place, we create a serious art piece with several famous artists. So this one is about the sound habitat by Janet Lawrence. So walking into the site and going into the park, you can see or you can hear the sound making by natural. And also not only standalone art piece, but also integrate with some like open spaces like retaining wall, or we use a precast concrete to really demonstrate some interesting art piece on the space. And not only always new insert art piece, but also like this is a renovated art piece which called Tidal Cascading. It's done by Robert Woodward. And actually we just repair that water feature and also really design an environment to well connect to the old existing art piece to really make it a new life for that area. And also we can see that wall is an interior, a digital wall art piece, and this called Datascape by Roger Kata. So this is also a consistent changing art piece, digital art piece on that area. So actually based on all these special art piece, it's also trying to create this kind of moment of people to enjoy and also inspire them, also connect them in not only the environment, but also connecting to the local culture and also local environment. So you can see it actually it's become really a city center destination for the citizens from the daytime, from nighttime, also even for some big events for the city. So actually this place is kind of multifunctional and what we call compact places for really urban renew the project. So this is also based because there's also a Chinese community around it, Chinatown around it. So you can see also there's some new culture is kind of coming like a culture event. And importantly, it's not only we renovate that access, but also how we can really connect the green back to the city. So this access is not only for people, but also for natural to create a urban green network for the city. And interestingly, you can see that's also a Chinese garden in the park originally. So this is kind of a gift from China to Australia from 1980s. And this is called Yi Garden, and like a friendship from Chinese government and also Australian government. So also from the renovation of the place, I start to look at how this kind of hidden in the new environment, also kind of the way that Chinese people trying to do is more calm, more not more like a hidden way to express the feature. And also it's built, I think 3-4 years already. And during this time, we also have the continuous monitoring about the users, how they really use this space or where they are using. So this is also like is a kind of post-occupancy analysis is undertaken by a consultant by Place Intelligence. So this is where indicate where are people mostly like to use. So this is also some like new software or new way to think about our place, our environment, how they can really affect or how they can really interest people, how they can really use these places. So now it's really become a new feature for Sydney. And we are also looking at how this park or how this urban new project can become really a legacy in the future. And also the second one I'm going to share is a forest. It's a huge forest in Beijing. And also we call it like park with 24 seasonscape forest. It's a Beijing Tongzhou Green, Central Green Forest Park. So the Central Green Forest Park, which has been essentially to ecological recovery of a site that are always a former chemical factories. And it has fast become one of the Beijing most popular green spaces, and also now playing a host to an array of recreation and education activities. So the park design is based on a winning response to a visionary competition by a Beijing government. And also the overall design is the result of collaboration between Hustle and a range of partners and consultants. So the design around the traditional 24 seasons Chinese lunar calendar and the park mosaic of the flexible forest forest rooms emphasize the changing seasons and also will change as park mature over time. So as the green lawn of Tongzhou district, this 11.2 square kilometer site is really celebrate both the value of the time and also the heritage of culture. So the study of periodic events in biological life cycle help guide our approach to planting and creating authentic seasonal journeys for visitors. So you can see the aerial photos from 2003, and this shows the evolution of the site from industrial area to a green parkland. And this is how you can see there's a polluted area in the center, or soil contamination and the topography that we are considering how the health and the contain the soil to recover an ancient canal as well. And also like resolve all these side issues, we also provide several places for people to use, for the city to use in the future. So once the tree grows, the place is still there and it's still good for people to engage. So the park mosaic of flexible forest rooms emphasize the changing seasons and will change as a park mature over time. From bird watching areas, playgrounds, botanical gardens, sport fields, and also observation hills and sculpture parks, the patchwork of the rooms offer endless recreation possibilities. So this is a mosaic of the forest rooms generated by diverse program and activities. And forests will be formed through time. Planting strategy is also really to show the characters in 24 seasons, so people can experience a variety of the soft landscape in every month. And actually, there are also some serious issues in lack of water in the north of China. So the water catchment is one of the key issues that we are trying to considered, and together with the cut and fill balance, and to really solve the some polluted soil issues. So not only cut and fill balance, but also leave a protected zone to retreat to the polluted land. So follow the overall framework. We also implement one area of it until it built. So there, in this area, we look into the real site. I mean, there are previously the factory patterns fabric there in steel, so you can tell from the existing trees is a line from the road. So we really create some landform characters on site by cut and fill balance, and also creating this kind of experience through the park. So you can also see that area that protected, and also by ecological remediation area that protected from the forest. And this is like a new dynamic forest framework that we established. So considering some existing trees and also some fast-growing trees, slow-growing trees, we can really create a long-term solution for how this park can forming. And also in the end, this pattern start to forming the kind of fast forest in a few years. And also through different years, 20 years, 30 years, when those fast-growing trees will die, and then the slow-growing trees forming as a key structure, green structure in the park. And this is how we establish on site, also trying to have like a pathway, elevated pathway to look at the growing of the park, and also engage also as a education, environment education, a pathway for people to really engage with the growing of the forest. So this is how it built at the moment. So it's from the different viewpoint, you can look at the different side or angle for the forest. And it's a really immersive area, and also experience that you can really enjoy in the area. So even the season change, you can really easily to tell. And also it's a series of outdoor classroom and activity spaces in the 24 season scape forest. And you can see some trunk, like a push for people to really know how this forest perform. So the minor code area, for example, for one of the 24 seasons, is like gooses flying north, and the map is building nest, and the environment of the landscape. What we are trying to do is also kind of respect to this kind of form and the stories that really help people to know the local culture in this park. And this is also some interactive tradition, like you can tell from the measure of the site, from the sun, so they can see the ruler of solar times. You can really tell which season is there for the day, for the time you are standing. So this design also carefully select the rich, diverse plant species, also including a large number of native plants and even some wild species. And also those design preserve the existing regular array of forest tribes that I want to mention. So we represent the industrial legacy and also valuable memories. This green context and textures of the site become the frame to further for the forest restorations. So you can see the existing trees, how the existing big trees integrated with the new places. And also there are some during the construction, the design, the design team also ensure the maximum of use the sustainable materials and environment friendly technologies. And even based on the existing water levels, the site topographic design a large sunken green spaces to capture stormwater, like a sponge city strategy, with become a seasonal swamp habitat. Such site special approach building up the stormwater management system. And as a result, many indicator animals such as hoopers and owls have returned to Green Central Park, even discovered during the construction period of time. And interestingly, that we also get also won a carbon neutral certification. After 1 year, the park operation is really become carbon balance within this park. So it's the park with 24-season forest in Beijing, and we're still growing together with the city as we planned. So the last one I would like to share is the Xichong project. It's a beachside travel guide that we are trying to engage, try to build a like urban design project in Shenzhen. So Xichong is one of the China most beautiful coasts with the sandy beaches and the biodiversity tropical landscape. But it's also part of Shenzhen, which is one of the most rapidly developing cities in China. So the balance of the city development and natural preservation is also one of the key issues for this project. So we think it's a perfect project for us, since Hustle is a design project from Australia, and also I'm from Taiwan. So we are kind of living in kind of an island surrounded by ocean, like Indonesia as well. And most important thing is we all know and love beach like Xichong. So our plan is a long-term resilience strategy for actively restoring the area while also mitigating disasters like typhoon. And our strategy reinforces Xichong's dynamic self-recovery system, linking land, beaches, and sea. So making the area truly resilient by nature over time. So the inspiration also comes from the coastline. The coast is not a line, it's a dynamic zone. So between the land and the sea, it's changing all the time. So the design foundation also comes from research, and it helps us to determine the way of erosion control for the coastline, which is to keep the dynamic equivalent. So actually Typhoon Mangkhut, one of the largest to hit southern China in September 2018, also destroyed this coastal landscape and many buildings. So out of that disaster comes an opportunity for a new beginning and a more sustainable future. So the most important strategy in this plan is to making the area truly resilient by nature and community. So according to local conditions, the dynamic and high risk mitigation system was applied to the whole area. The local communities always play an important role in our vision for resilient Xichong, both in planning and operating the ecotourism. So this is trying to protect and manage their surrounding environment. And we're trying to keep Xichong as the most pristine natural destination where could benefit on the biodiversity and ecosystem in Great Bay Area. So under our community-driven model for the precinct, the plan is also trying to be openly networked. It creates a perfect combination which is focusing on conservation and disaster resilience, while also offering a unique local experience. So sustainable community-driven ecotourism developments are located island around existing villages and away from environmentally sensitive areas. By limiting development and visitor numbers in conservation areas, we can protect local habitat and sensitive ecologies. To be clear on this, the 4 design principles was established, which are immersive in natural, be prepared, which is adapt and retreat, experience the local lifestyle, and to be natural by the community. So it's all trying to deliver a measurable outcome in different aspects, such as 4 main beach destinations, a type of local and natural villages experience, and also 5 layers of protection framework. So the 6 curate journeys could lead to 30 unique destinations to experience the authentic beauty of Sichuan. And it's well protected by 5 layers of protection framework, including the artificial reef, sand dome deck, shelter belt forest, a wetland flood zone, and also landscape protection in the village. Diverse of natural habitat is well planned for Sichuan's future. Restores wetland and mangrove forests while also building tourism and education. With diverse journeys and movement for people to experience the beautifully original in Sichuan. And all these are supported by local community to build a win-win future for government and also local community to celebrate the old and new in village town centers role, to establish the high quality of wetland galleries to provide natural destination and the research-based environmental education. Some soft but key landscape elements like the forest lookout tower to provide a viewing point and as a landmark guiding people toward beach. So there are some more drawings and thinking behind and support the strategic plan. So with the disaster protection systems and considering the microclimate with the influence and the landform and wind. All these are trying to build a more resilient and sustainable future for Sichuan to ensure people can really enjoy the natural and beauty of it. And the island with limited access and controlled viewing activities for people to experience the underwater world based on the artificial reef management. So to really create a resilient landscape through time. And it is not just constant memory. You have the opportunity to see life transforming, to see changes you don't expect it. So throughout the 3 hustle projects I just shared, you can see climate and biodiversity challenges and social inequity has reached to a tip point globally. And design has a role to play and a chance to make a direct positive impact. So no matter in Australia, China, Indonesia, as a landscape architect, we always need to be leading pioneer to building us a sustainable future and try to build a carbon zero future through time. This is how we could differentiate with other experts or other disciplines. And of course, we need to work closely with architects, artists, ecologists, some other experts, but actually landscape architect should be the one who bring everything together and bring the intelligent insight and also provide multiple solutions for these complex challenges to shape us a better world. So there's one sentence to take away for today's sharing: thinking big and building small. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Check. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Shanlin, for giving us such informative, interesting, and insightful presentation. Oke, for participant, jadi dapat disimpulkan ya bahwa perencanaan dari desain landscape yang dipaparkan oleh Mr. Shanlin ini dapat mencakup 6 kualitas dari berbagai potensi wilayah masing-masing. Ya, jadi Mr. Shanlin ini sudah memaparkan berbagai macam contoh proyek yang dikerjakan dan memberikan berbagai macam inspirasi ya. Jadi bagaimana kita mendesain landscape yang menarik dan memberikan banyak ruang untuk pengguna ruang tanpa merusak lingkungan ya, dan justru memanfaatkan sumber daya alam sebagai dasar dari desain yang dikembangkan ya. Okay, now come to the discussion session. Okay, I'd like to have 3 questions from the participants, each speakers. Please raise your hand or write your comment in chat box. Before that, I have 1 question from chat box. This is from Agus Sukocho, Mr. Agus Sukocho from the Faculty of Computer Science. He asked about disaster mitigation for Professor Mary Ann. Example of floods, tsunamis in the early stage. We are making Internet of Things, IoT-based sensors to provide data in real time regarding river conditions, such as river levels. Can this research be linked to an evacuation systems? And Professor Mary Ann has been answered that, yes, unfortunately. Professor Mary Ann, can you explain more detail, please?
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Shinlin, your screen is on. Can you off the screen? Oh, okay.
Am I still sharing?
Okay, it has been done. Thank you. Okay, Professor Mary Ann, please.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the question, the comment. Internet of Things, sensors to provide data in real time regarding river conditions, etc. If your question is whether your research is relevant, of course it is relevant. In the Philippines, we already have a program called NOAA. Okay, it's an acronym, but I forgot the correct meaning. But what it does is it's an app provided to everybody, no qualifications, for as long as you have internet and a computer. And whenever disaster occurs, or whether, for example, a typhoon is impending, people are asked to contribute data, and the data that people who might be affected by these impending disasters help to update real-time the data. The Project NOAA was conceived after 2009 Typhoon Ondoy. I forgot the international name. Typhoon Ondoy did not have destructive winds, but it had destructive rains. And a good part of Metro Manila was inundated by as much as 7 meters of floods all around the rim of a big lake called Laguna de Bay. So houses up to 2 stories were flooded, and many people died in that big flood. So Project NOAA was born in order to map the extent of the inundation as it happened in 2009, and to provide everybody within that range of areas that were affected by the floods to consider transferring. Of course, the reality is that not all of them really transferred. Some are still there. So, but as far as the information is concerned, they are prone to, even in the next inundation, it will be more than 7 meters, something like that. So I'm beginning to understand that the research stated here in the query is something like what Project NOAA is to the Philippines. And therefore, yeah, we need that kind of research in order to allow evacuation centers to avoid disaster-prone sites. Okay, so I hope that answered your question.
Okay, thank you very much for your explanation. Mr. Agus Sukocho, are you still with us? No? Okay, I think it has been answered. Okay, and then the next question. Is there any question again from participant, please? Okay, please.
Okay, thank you. I would like to ask Mr. Sean.
Hello.
I'm Pikin Bajaya from the Architecture University of Lampung. Mr. Sean, you say that it's about creating something that is not only for human, but is for the environment and nature. I'm curious that we know that sometimes nature cannot be too good to be our livelihood. It's like, an example, in Indonesia, sometimes I find some place in a good shape of landscape architecture and also connected to the nature. This place causes so much trouble, like mosquito, stress, and sometimes the living things like trees cannot be able to reduce the heat effect of the sun. My question is, as a future architect, how we can fix this problem, at least reduce the problems into a small problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. I think I'm not sure am I clearly hear what you're talking about, but more about the mosquitoes, or how if we're trying to create places for human and also environment, how this can be balanced, right? How we can really create comfortable places for human, but also not harming the environment. So I think that's sometimes it's important, like it's about human comfort. The place is human comfort. And sometimes landscape architects or even designers not trying to resolve everything. So even there are some high tech like technology, or there's some professors working on these kind of new product on how we can really help people have a comfortable way to stay in outside. And also, interestingly, I also see it's not trying to resolve every problem, but we probably need to look into how the environmental work or how the ecology work, and we can really find a better solution throughout the research. For example, I just read an article months ago, like Shanghai, how do you say, Ai, like helper for the restaurant. He found out there's a lot of mosquitoes outside in their garden, in the garden of a restaurant. And he just tried to monitor to see how the mosquito work, what time they are more active, and what time if you go out, there's still no problem, like they won't bite you. So I think it's really create some solutions after clean. There are some, for example, some way to clean the water or to dry out the places. So I think, for example, there's still quite many solutions if we can really look into how environmental work, how the different species or how the climate work. We still can create still a long path. We can still create some tiny change to change the microclimate, and which is helping us to really resolve the bigger problem for the Earth.
Okay. Is it answer your question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chan. But I have the last question in here.
No problem.
And sometimes the population of the trees in a city, like capital city in Indonesia, is not enough to reduce the air into a condition for human living. My question is how we can create better environment that full of nature and ecosystem in the middle of the city that don't have any forest around the area. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't hear that quite clear in some key sentence. Like in metro city in Indonesia, there are some key issues of what?
In case in Indonesia, we know about the city is not enough open space.
In open space, yeah.
Yes, the areas where it's covered in concrete, and also
You mean how to bring people back to the open space, or what's going on the
we don't have enough open space, and we don't have enough trees to make our livelihoods feel better and make our air feel better, because we don't have any open space because it's covered in concrete.
Okay.
So how can we make our
how to make a change?
Yes, microclimate.
Okay, I think Indonesia, I've been there several times. I think this is a really beautiful country, and especially cover a lot of green. Maybe not in the city, even probably in the city there are some open spaces occupied by human. But actually, if you look at different cities in the world, they also got this kind of process, like people will start to stepping to the natural and then conquered or occupy a lot of from natural. But in the end, they kind of suffered from what they trying to get too much. So, I mean, now a lot of places or what Hassel's research is trying to bring that kind of sense or this kind of awareness back, even in China. Like previously, you can see the forest park in Tongzhou, what I presented, is an industrial park, which covered everything by concrete, mostly. And now, after 2 or 3 years, it become covered by green. So actually, it's not conflict. You just need to find a way or look at from this when the city try to develop, and people have this kind of awareness about creating a better environment for not only purely for development, but also for human comfort. So that's also why Hassel is doing this kind of research, to really find the best, what is the best places. It's not only people can use, but also for future, for everyone's future, including the environment. I don't know if I totally answer your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much for your explanation, Mr. Shanlin. And the next question is in our chat box. This is from Nursela Filar from ITB Indonesia, and she asked about interesting presentation, Mrs. Mary, Professor Mary Ann. I'm Filar from Bandung Institute of Technology. My question is, when designing Takbuhan, did you consider how many souls could occupy the building? And whether a simulation was carried out beforehand for the resilience of the building in the event that one day another disaster occurs? Please, for Professor Mary Ann to answer it.
Okay, thank you for the question. In the drawings that I showed in my presentation, the facility could accommodate 82 families, assuming that, and each family will be accommodated in a 3x3 privacy unit. So I've had comments saying that it's too small or too few. And the truth is, it's difficult to determine what is a correct number, because if that facility is provided for a barangay, okay, the smallest unit of government in the Philippines, the barangays have varied number of population. So, of course, if the barangay will require more than 82 families or 82 units, then we can just adjust the design. It is also considered that since this facility will be provided in every barangay, okay, therefore, and not everybody in the barangay will need the evacuation center anyway. Some will have good facilities in their own homes. The proximity of one barangay to the other can help respond to the number, okay? Whether the simulation was carried out, okay. We had simulations on computer, yes. The project was also undertaken in cooperation with Kyoto University. Kyoto University Disaster, DPRI, Disaster Preparedness Unit, something like that. And they have a wind tunnel facility that we were supposed to use. All right. However, and also that we were supposed to build a prototype, okay, one house to be built in this typhoon-prone site in Baler, Aurora. It's on the northeast of the Philippines, frequented by typhoons, earthquakes, and had the history of a tsunami in the past. So it was a good choice. However, government protocols prevented us from pursuing that simulation construction of one unit. And so anyway, the answer is no, we could not have a clear simulation. And up to this moment, we are still trying to attract the government. And you know that we had, from the time that we did the project, we had 2 elections that were critical. The first election where the President Duterte won, and he was a beloved president for 6 years, but the build program of President Duterte focused on large infrastructure. It did not come to our doorstep. And the new president now is, I don't know, we're not sure. So it's very, very political at the moment to have a project like this responded to by the government. So we're still in the begging stage, unfortunately. But when we are able to, I'll let you know. I'll share that with you.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Miss Pilar, did it answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we have 2 questions again. Please, to participants, if you have any questions here. Okay, Mr. Fritz.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Moderator, Ms. Tia. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon to all speakers. They cannot see my face, so I should see like this. Both of them are my great teachers and my friends. Thank you very much for sharing with us here in our event. Maybe to the audience, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Fritz, and I'm assistant professor here in Universitas Bandar Lampung. And you know, I really enjoyed all the materials being shared by the speakers. Thank you very much once again. And just to bring up maybe a couple more last question. I know especially Shan is very busy. Sorry for taking up your time. And maybe to summarize, I would like to link between these 2 materials, these 2 sharings that we're talking about environment and what we call here in our event as environment-demic, or the pandemic to the environment. And it can be solved by design and planning strategies. Sean has taught us, explained to us how Hassel already mentions or already adopt these design strategies in order to make friends with the environment. And Professor Espina focus specifically on the typhoon impacts. It reminded me on my research a couple of years ago on Typhoon Haiyan. I learned at that time that the typhoon has been, you know, damaging many aspects in Philippines, and the typhoons has become one of the you know, biggest challenge in the Philippines. So for Prof. Espina, I would like to answer or ask 2 questions. And also to Shan, 2 questions also for you. But I will start with Professor Espina. In Indonesia, Prof, here we often said if we receive or if we got some disasters, environmental disaster or natural disasters, we often call it, oh, this was because of our doing. This is because of our activities. What we've done to the city, what we've done to the parks, what we've done with our waste, our we were using too many or too much motorized vehicles, for example, and those things cause the environmental disasters. But I know, or maybe I guess that in Philippines, that was not the case because the typhoon uh, is kind of a natural thing that happening, frequently or in a routine way. Every year, you will have at least several typhoons, if I'm not mistaken. So I would like to know what the Filipinos think on disasters. If, is it only like normal thing, like you are already getting used to it, or you also think that oh, we have to do better with our environment? That's the first question. And to the design solution with the Takbuhan, I think it's very good idea. And once I also attended the lecture of Bang Sang or Shigeru Bang, and I was also amazed with his idea. But I would like to know whether we could adopt this Takbuhan idea to our houses, whether we don't need to go to the settlement or to the evacuation shelters, whether we could do something with our houses, uh, incorporating the idea from the Takbuhan. That was my two questions, Professor Espina. And maybe to Sean, another two questions. How to decide the level or the depth of the research that you are doing there in Hustle in each project? Because I think not all projects are friendly with research, but because maybe some clients want to do it quickly and you don't have enough time to do research, or maybe this thing is very the project is very easy to find idea for it, so you don't need to do research. So how do you decide? Because Mr. Sean here is the principal of Hustle right now. I just got to know. Congratulate, man. It's very honored to have you here. And how as a principal you decide, oh, this project need a research, this project doesn't need a research, something like that. And or do you say that maybe all projects need research, then maybe you don't have to answer my question then. Then the second one, can you highlight one detailed commitment of Hustle to the environment-demic or the environmental pandemic or the environmental issue that we are having right now? One detailed commitment or one detailed design that you always try to put on every project that you are having. Thank you. That's all from me. Thank you very much once again to both of you. Please give them a big applause, the audience. It's very great to have them. Thank you. Thank you to the moderator.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fritz, for your question. And Professor Mary Ann and Mr. Shinlin, please to answer the question.
I'll answer first. Sean, is that okay? All right. I hope I remember the questions well. Dr. Fritz, thank you for acknowledging. I think you said whether the Filipinos have gotten used to the disasters. Yes and no. For example, when Ondoy happened and the flood waters rose 2 stories high on the sites immediately surrounding the big lake. They were all caught unguarded, and as I said, the disaster was immense for metropolitan Manila. Okay, because as you know, Metro Manila is highly densely populated. So I guess the number of deaths cannot be compared to previous events like that. And the floods did not choose, people, rich or poor, were affected. But the Ondoy problem, which generated a lot of research from the universities, from many researchers everywhere, created some form of, what's the word? Pre-knowledge or preparedness, okay? But the preparedness that we got was against floods. Then the next disaster that happened in 2013 was typhoon. As the story goes, the people in Tacloban City, which was largely hit by the typhoon, never experienced a typhoon in their lives. So when they heard that a typhoon was coming, they went on with their lives like nothing. It's like it will pass, and the next day they'll go on with their lives. So to some people, there was no next day. They just simply disappeared. And the disappearance or the loss of lives were families. So, there was no burial for those who died in that tragedy, because there was no family to bury them. All families died together. Now, Typhoon Haiyan also gave us lessons on how to deal with the typhoons. And that lesson was crucial to the survival of the people inside the Siargao gym. So if you call it getting used to, then yes, they got used to it in a positive way. And I'm very happy that they survived. There was no casualty in the Siargao event. Okay, it's just the building that failed, but no known casualties. There, if you read that testimonial in the internet, there was one person who took the leadership, okay, and created that kind of protection for everybody. Okay, this concept of getting used to it can be good and bad. So that's why I said yes and no. And I must also say I don't know because I experienced Typhoon Odette in Cebu in December last year. We were all very frightened. We don't want that to happen again. And we were prepared only in terms of securing ourselves inside our homes. But our house was shaking. And that's the first time I've ever experienced shaking of a house. Our house is built by the family of architects that we are known to be. And yet it shook. And the devastation around us, a tree fell on our roof and punctured the roof and caused water to flood, to spoil one room. We got out of it, and then we're fixing everything so that the next typhoon will not cause the same damage. Okay. All right. So that's for the first question. Fritz, can you repeat the second one? I couldn't remember.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the second question was, it's okay, you cannot see, oh, you can see me now. Okay, the second question was about how to adopt the design principle or one of the design of the shelters to the house. Yeah, thank you, Prof.
I'm very glad you asked that because in my presentation, I showed you 3 prototypes. We designed a self-build house, a school building, and takbuhan. Now, the self-build house, we designed to be resilient to both typhoons and earthquakes. And if you think about it, structurally, a heavily constructed building is resilient to typhoons. but lightweight building is resilient to earthquakes. So it's a dilemma how to satisfy both. But we have a formula, and it's a small house because it's intended to give the design of this house is intended to be given for free. I mean, they don't have to get an architect to do it, but to give to communities so they can self-build, which actually happened after Typhoon Haiyan in Tacloban. We went to visit and we saw how the affected households built for themselves, but what they built were still weak and not resilient to the next typhoon. Of course, we hope there will be no next typhoon going their way. So to respond to your question, yes, we are promoting the design of these houses so that these people don't have to evacuate. Okay, and we promote the construction of the evacuation center only for those whose lives are still unresilient, and we're hoping that the number will be small. But the important part of the takbuhan is that the building itself is resilient and it will be responsive to, say, delivery of relief goods, and the ability to protect the occupants, the refugees inside, protect them from loss of dignity of life, and from, well, for the other victims who perish, to give them dignity of death. So it's a formula. The whole episode of our research under the Build Back Better program of the Department of Science and Technology is it's a package that should go together. Thank you, Fritz.
Prof. So I'm glad that we don't have to build two houses, one for earthquake and one for typhoons. Okay, thank you, Prof. Sean, your turn.
Thanks, Professor Breed and Professor Espanier. Yeah, actually, I also would like to answer a little bit on the typhoon because I grow from Taiwan, so typhoon every year. So I mean, I got a lot of experience on that. You can see, like, especially the river bank, why the river bank building taller and taller. I mean, that's because typhoon and all the flood issue are related. And even in my childhood, I experienced maybe 5 meters or 8 meter tall of water tank, like river bank. It's also like when typhoon comes, it's even almost full. So first floor of our community are all flooded. So actually, it's really something we try to avoid. And that's why you mentioned, I think what you mentioned about the ancient saying in Indonesia is quite intelligent, about what you have done is what you get is because what you have done, right? Something like that. And I think we can say, I think it's true, but not only by one person. It's like what human has done, because you can see if you look at the like butterfly effect, it's like because we have done a lot, we consume a lot from natural, consume a lot from environment. So actually the typhoon getting larger and larger, and the global warming is also create this kind of more serious problem for Indonesia, for Taiwan, for Philippines as well. I mean, that's why globally everyone needs to do something about that. So I think that's why we talk about resilient, and it's not only protect, it's like resilient. Because typhoons just come once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year, but rest of the day we also want to use, or we also want to enjoy the environment. So I think when the typhoon comes, that what I presented just now about the Xichong projects, it also face that kind of problem. So we think one very important solution is we bring the community together. And this is how we can resolve or how we can protect ourselves together from the disaster comes. So we also like from the new technology, we need to anticipate how typhoon will come, how big it will come, and then how long it will take. So I think that's all the new technologies coming to help us on that. Yeah, and for the the question about research, actually we are doing HASA is doing I think almost every project is a research, but it's more like a small research or bigger research. I think when you are doing a project, always need something to study. But we also have a like professional research team, global research team, to look at some like hard issues or some key directions. Even we are doing for a roundtable discussion last week about life science campus, life science industry. So this is some new like market trend or the global issue trend that we wanted to stand in the front. So that's how we should think beyond what is happening now. And I think that's answer your question. And about the solution for Environ-demic for hazard project. Actually, last month we have sharing something in Shanghai Landscape Forum, and that's happening every year in Shanghai, and including SWA, Sasaki, Hassel, and a few international firms. They're also always sharing some new projects or thinking in that forum. And we also presented one project about a canopy in Sanya, even small like a canopy. So when you think about the canopy, you can design by beauty, but we decide to design by data. And we try to anticipate, or we try to analyze how the wind how the shape will affect the wind. So we want, Sanya, you know, is also hot area and also humid. And we would like to change the microclimate by even just a wind channel, like bring this clean or bring the colder wind from the forest, from the ocean, and also bring that into the city. So the trees, clusters, or the canopy, the shape of the canopies, we also try to analysis about how the shape can help that happen. So I think that's probably answer what you have mentioned.
Yes, thank you very much, Sean. I'm glad that you point out that research on or in Hassel is very important. Because right now I'm teaching research in Department of Architecture of UBL, and most of my students, they don't like research because they don't think that research doesn't have anything to do with design. So I'm glad that you point out that even a professional big company like Hassel is doing research for designing. Thank you very much, Sean. Glad to have you.
And one thing to add on, sorry. I also paste our website in this chat. So actually, you don't need to do the research everything by yourself. The internet is quite open, and if you click into our website, you can also find our open research. Our research is mostly open to public. So you can also look at what I just presented, the 6 senses, urban qualities, and also some life science, even the corridors research we are doing. So I think that's maybe helpful.
Okay, and we are also happy here in UBL to help you to collaborate with you with research if you have something in Indonesia. Thank you very much, Sean.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Rich.
Okay, thank you very much for Professor Mary Ann and Mr. Sean Lin for the explanation. Okay, we have 6 questions that have been answered. I think time to discussion have been done. Okay, thank you to our speakers and participants. We have finished our discussion. Okay, before I close this session, I would like to take the conclusion from what the speaker has presented. From Professor Mary Ann's presentation, we can conclude that how we stop the disaster and how can we prepare the evacuation centers. And then how can we make the alternative design that can we build, such as design of evacuation centers, and also how we create the needs of room in evacuation centers. And also support from a government is very important to create a good evacuation center. And then from Mr. Shanlin, we can conclude that landscape design can develop by 6 qualities of great urban place. We can create a great landscape design from our environment. So many cases that we can learn from Mr. Shanlin about the landscape design, such as a beautiful open space and create idea about some exterior element of landscape design and correlate with public domain and engagement. And also we must to prepare data analyze for create the landscape design. And of course, how do we use a nature as a basis for developing designs without destroying nature itself? Okay, I'd like to thank to the speakers for the informative and interesting presentations and all the participants for the very active participation. Finally, give applause for the speakers. Okay, thank you very much. I apologize if there are words are there that are less pleasing. Thank you very much, Professor Mary Ann and Mr. Shanlin. Have a good day and please stay with us because we will take some photo with speakers. Okay, now I return this event to our house. Please.
Thank you, Kustiani STMT, for the greeting and the discussion. And thank you for all the material provided by our two amazing speakers, Professor Mary Ann A. Espina and Sean Lim. Hopefully, all of us can take the knowledge as many as possible.
To all participants, I would like to remind you once again to sign your attendance from the link on the chat box. And also, for all the participants, please turn on your camera because we will have a photo session that will be taken by the host.
I will count 1 until 3 to take the photo. 1, 2, 3. Okay. On behalf of the committee, I would like to extend our appreciation to each and every one of you for attending today's webinar. From the deepest of our heart, we apologize if there were mistakes. Thank you for your attention and see you on the next session. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Mungkin semua yang peserta yang datang bisa maju ke depan, kita foto bareng. Semua turun di sini. Ya, di sini ya, depan sini ya. Biar foto sama ini sekalian sama layar.
Please for Professor Mary Ann and Sean Lim, stay for a while. We will take the photo together. Kepada seluruh peserta, mohon segera turun ke auditorium sekarang. Kelihatan nggak?
Tiga ya. Sudah siap? Kameramen siap? Oke, 1, 2, 3, cheese. Cheese. Oke. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you. One more.
Bel mana bel gini bel.
For the speaker. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Professor Fina. Can you see me?
Yes, you're hiding in the group.
Yeah. Oh,
And then I can see you. Thank you. Thank you for
thank you.
Kepada seluruh
Oke.
peserta diharapkan membawa sampahnya dan dibuang di tempat sampah yang sudah disediakan di depan. Terima kasih.